The first SpongeBob movie came out in 2004, so it's pretty amazing that we're still getting new episodes 13 years later. Hi, I'm Akeem with Channel Frederator, and today we're taking a look at SpongeBob's big screen debut. This is 107 facts about the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. Are you ready, kids? It took a long time to get the movie going. Steve HILLENBURG, SpongeBob's creator, has said that he had to significantly expand the TV show's concept to make a full-length movie. He didn't want to just do a film about SpongeBob wanting to make some jellyfish jelly. HILLENBURG initially declined requests to make a SpongeBob movie, despite pressure from Paramount and Nickelodeon. He eventually gave in after watching The Iron Giant and Toy Story with his son. He felt he could challenge SpongeBob and Patrick more in a film than he had ever done in the TV series, while still maintaining a SpongeBob cadence. In HILLENBURG's mind, the movie had to be a great adventure whose humor would come from SpongeBob and Patrick, a doofus and an idiot, doing some incredibly dangerous stuff on a heroic odyssey. From the beginning, the film was about SpongeBob going to the surface and entering our world. But the writers didn't really know much more beyond that. HILLENBURG said that the process of creating the movie was pretty brutal, even calling it a bloodbath. Despite this, Marco Cellino, who has worked on other animated features like the Rugrats movie and the Wild Thornberrys movie, has said the exact opposite. He said, "From a professional and human point of view, it was the best experience I've had in the animation business, and I believe it would be hard to duplicate." When SpongeBob began, HILLENBURG had the crew watch several shorts, including clips from silent film stars Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, and Laurel and Hardy. He also showed them videos of Jerry Lewis and Pee Wee Herman, who were huge inspirations for SpongeBob. Much of the movie's earlier scripting and storyboarding was done in post-it notes. Unlike many other cartoons, writers on SpongeBob had illustration chops too, so the creators often used storyboards rather than scripts to define action. The episodes were then mocked up in the animatic phase. For those who don't know, animatics are a preliminary sequence of shorts, images, or sketches that is filmed or arranged usually with a soundtrack in view to determine its effectiveness before being finalized. Andrew Overtoom, who edited the animatics, said the experience was very different from the TV show. For the show, Andrew would do animatics from scratch. But for the movie, Steve HILLENBURG and Derek Dryman did the initial animatics by themselves, so he only had to concentrate on performance and timing. Overtoom has said that editing animatics is very similar to arranging music, which is why a lot of animation directors have musical backgrounds. When you're editing animation, it's all about getting a rhythm going. Besides SpongeBob, you might know Overtoom from his other work on shows like Angry Beavers, Family Guy, Adventure Time, and Clarence. HILLENBURG kept the ending of the movie, which features David Hasselhoff carrying SpongeBob and Patrick like a speedboat, a secret from the other writers. Supposedly, when he unveiled the sequence, everyone was floored. The first question the writers had was, obviously, do we have Hasselhoff? And HILLENBURG replied, no, with a huge smile. So the writers asked, have we talked to Hasselhoff? And Steven, happier still, said no. So it's pretty lucky that Hasselhoff agreed to make a cameo. Sherm Cohen, storyboard artist and director, is quoted as saying he's never seen Steve HILLENBURG happier than when he pitched the movie's ending for the first time. Rough Draft Studios in South Korea animated the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. The animators used pencil-drawn sketches composited into Photoshop layouts. HILLENBURG really loves hand-drawn animation and thinks the drawing in the SpongeBob SquarePants movie are far superior to the TV show, and you can see that in the little details. For example, you'll see more bubbles in the film than the regular SpongeBob episodes. Bubbles appear whenever the characters move, which doesn't happen in the TV show. HILLENBURG worries about the future of 2D animation, saying there's a lot of talk about 2D being dead, and I hope people don't think that. Even Brad Bird, director of The Incredibles, is a proponent of 2D. He would agree with me that it's all about what you're trying to say, and what's unique about animation is that there are many styles in which to tell a story. The SpongeBob sequel would be in 3D, so it really does depend on the story. The film was advertised as being about SpongeBob saving Patrick from a fisherman in Florida. This was later revealed to be a joke plot based on finding Finding Nemo meant to confuse and amuse fans. The SpongeBob SquarePants movie did a marketing campaign with Burger King. The movie's co-director, Sherm Cohen, drew many of the commercials, as HILLENBURG is notoriously specific about the way SpongeBob interacts with products. Sherm recalls, at one point in one of the new commercials, SpongeBob fries his burgers on a grill, which is the antithesis of the Burger King method, which is flame broiling. And they actually said, we need to change this and have SpongeBob cooking on a flame broiler. And Steve just said, no. Take it or leave it. If you want the toys, that's what SpongeBob uses. Despite working with Burger King on a campaign for the movie, HILLENBURG has repeatedly refused to license the Krabby Patty or any SpongeBob product to be served at a fast food restaurant, saying, I don't want to be the Pied Piper of fast food. However, he has allowed SpongeBob candy to be made because he thinks kids should and do eat candy. In fall of 2004, nearly 5,000 giant inflatable SpongeBobs were ordered to sit on top of Burger King restaurants as part of the movie campaign. In November of that year, it was reported that a number of inflatables had been stolen. In fact, there were thefts reported in 10 states. Russ Klein, Burger King chief marketing officer, was quoted as saying that they didn't know the motives behind many of the apparent sponge nappings, but they had received a ransom note in the state of Minnesota that read, "We have SpongeBob. Give us 10 Krabby Patties, fries, and milkshakes." Burger King even offered a reward of a year's supply of Whoppers, paid in burger bucks, to anyone who had information leading to the safe return of an inflatable. Some of the inflatables were eventually returned. However, others showed up online, selling for as much as $1,000 on eBay. Steven Simon and Comrade Mercure were arrested for stealing one of these inflatables. While they faced a $500 fine and up to 18 months in jail, Simon was quoted as saying he was proud of what he did, as now they could tell everyone. As a result of these crimes, when Burger King released Star Wars toys the next year, they were jokingly escorted in by stormtroopers to safeguard their delivery to a Burger King in North Hollywood. Target did a campaign with the SpongeBob SquarePants movie and wanted the Huey Lewis and the News song "It's Hip to Be a Square" to be the theme for their merchandise. However, HILLENBURG didn't like that, as he thinks of SpongeBob as a nerd who is never hip, and convinced Target to go with "Dare to Be a Square." The SpongeBob SquarePants movie also had a marketing campaign with the Cayman Islands, creating the Cayman Islands Sea School. The Sea School was a free program where children and families could join the Department of Environment for 2 afternoons a week. These interactive sessions would include SpongeBob episodes, talks on the importance of marine environment preservation, and hands-on activities. Additionally, if you were really into marine biology, they offered a marine mini camp. This gave visitors a chance to explore biology in the actual ocean, and at the conclusion of the program, each child would receive a diploma presented by SpongeBob. On October 15th, 2004, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie sponsored a NASCAR race in October of 2004 called the BUSCH Series SpongeBob SquarePants Movie 300. It took place in North Carolina at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It was the first time NASCAR ever featured a kid-friendly version of the radio broadcast. Kyle Busch and Jimmy Johnson drove SpongeBob-themed Chevy cars for the race. Johnson's had SpongeBob and Busch's had Patrick on the hood. Johnson was quoted as saying, "How can we go wrong with SpongeBob helping us out on the car?" Canadian YTV's Carlos did a funny interview with the release of the SpongeBob SquarePants movie on his show The Zone. The absurdist interview had Carlos going down to the bottom of the sea to interview SpongeBob and Patrick from a submarine. Nickelodeon released a special issue of Nickelodeon magazine in conjunction with the film. It had an article about SpongeBob's origin, one about Patrick recounting a journey to Shell City, and a comic about Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy's activities during the movie. The teaser trailer for the movie aired during the 2004 Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award. The film's official trailer was released on May 19th, 2004 and was attached to Shrek 2. The SpongeBob trailer used footage from 3 famous submarine movies: The Hunt for Red October, U-571 1971 and Das Boot. The Yellow World Carpet premiere occurred at Garmin's Chinese Theater in Hollywood on November 14, 2004. Celebrities who attended with their families included Ice Cube, Larry King, and Ray Romano. Scarlett Johansson, a huge SpongeBob fan, played Mindy the Mermaid in the film. At the premiere, she said the coolest thing about being a mermaid would be wearing a seashell bra. We don't entirely agree, only because breathing underwater seems like a pretty cool perk too. Tom Kenny, who voices SpongeBob, joked that the yellow carpet was reminiscent of being at home with his 15-month-old daughter. The SpongeBob SquarePants movie was finally released in theaters on November 19, 2004. HILLENBURG has said there was concern among Nickelodeon executives that the show has peaked and that this might be the end of SpongeBob. However, the film was a huge success and made $140 million in the worldwide box office. The film was the 29th largest grossing film in 2004 domestically and is the 6th highest grossing animated TV adaptation of all time, behind the first Pokemon movie. Funny enough, SpongeBob SquarePants Sponge Out of Water, the sequel to this film, is actually the 2nd highest grossing film, behind the reigning champ, The Simpsons movie. The film got mostly positive reviews, with critics comparing it favorably to other recent children's releases at the time, including Shark Tale and The Polar Express, finding it funnier than the former and more charming than the latter. The score of the film was composed at Abbey Road Studios of Beatles fame by Gregor Narhals with the London Metropolitan Orchestra. Narhals was signed on to the movie because of his recommendation by SpongeBob episode music editor Nick Carr. Narhals ended up receiving an Annie Awards nomination for his work. The Flaming Lips recorded the lead single of the SpongeBob soundtrack called SpongeBob and Patrick Confront the Psychic Wall of Energy. The music video for the song was directed by lead singer Wayne Coyne. Coyne suggested that maybe he should try to get Justin Timberlake to do a duet with us, as an off-the-cuff idea. But HILLENBURG wanted the movie soundtrack to feature music from more off-the-cuff bands and performers. Coyne said that Steven HILLENBURG was looking for a specific sound for the movie's soundtrack. HILLENBURG told Coyne, "I don't want any of those commercial weirdos on there. I like you guys. And Wilco and Ween." Well, HILLENBURG got his wish. Both Wilco and Ween wrote songs for the soundtrack, but there was one commercial artist featured on the soundtrack. Avril Lavigne sings the SpongeBob theme song for the film. Wilco's lead singer Jeff Tweedy was contacted by a film producer after he spotted a SpongeBob air freshener hanging from Tweedy's mirror in a film about the band. Tweedy has said, "I fell in love with SpongeBob when I heard him describe the darkness at the bottom of the sea as advanced darkness. How could I not write a song for this film? It automatically makes me the coolest dad on the block." Best Day Ever is written by SpongeBob's Tom Kenny and Andy Paley and was featured in the film and on the soundtrack. However, according to Kenny, the track was originally meant to be just a filler for the album and nothing more. Best Day Ever wound up being played over the closing credits of the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, which was never intended. It also became a huge hit, which was a surprise to Kenny, as they were kind of works in progress at the time. Ice Cream Dreams was a book released by Nickelodeon and Simon Spotlight in 2005 in conjunction with the movie. It was written by Nancy E. Krulik, illustrated by Heather Martinez, and had contributions from Derek Dryman. It focuses on the part of the movie where SpongeBob loses the manager's position and goes to Goofy Goobers to eat his feelings and drown his sorrows in ice cream sundaes. The film was dedicated to Jules Engel because creator Steve HILLENBURG was a graduate of Engel's experimental animation program at Cal Arts. HILLENBURG attended Cal Arts after teaching marine biology at Orange County Marine Institute for several years. So SpongeBob may have some scientific validity, kinda. The film was released on VHS and DVD on March 1st, 2005. For those who don't remember, VHS was an older format of video involving things called tapes. The DVD contains several extras including an 18-minute featurette, The Absorbing Tale Behind the SpongeBob SquarePants Movie, which features interviews with most of the cast and crew. It also features a 15-minute film called Case of the SpongeBob, with Steven HILLENBURG talking to famed explorer Jean-Michel Cousteau, son of Jacques Cousteau, who created the scuba suit. The feature is basically a short art film about SpongeBob's real-life counterparts, a sponge, a starfish, fish, etc., and features some interesting biological facts. Considering HILLENBURG's background, it's not a huge surprise. Finally, the DVD also has a promotional piece called Saving the Surf for the Surfrider Foundation, which is committed to saving and preserving the oceans and oceanic life, including the real SpongeBobs of the world. The movie first aired on TV Nickelodeon on November 10th, 2006, during the Best Day Ever marathon. The ship in the opening part of the film with the pirates is a reconstruction of the HMS Bounty, which was built for the 1962 Marlon Brando film Mutiny on the Bounty. The ship has appeared in several other films, including 1999's Treasure Island and Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. A 12-foot, 750-pound David Hasselhoff was built for the film so that the actor didn't have to stand in for long scenes with SpongeBob and Patrick riding on his chest and legs. The model cost $100,000, and according to Hasselhoff, it's also very accurate, down to every little mole, every possible freckle. The skin is even soft, like real skin. When Hasselhoff found out that the producers were planning to throw out the model post-production, he convinced them to allow him to take it home and set it up in his projection room. In 2004, he planned to auction the model off for charity. To promote the charity auction, the model was lent to several people, including Jimmy Kimmel, who used it as his table for his talk show. After it garnered much publicity, Hasselhoff withdrew the item, despite it fetching $28,000 in pre-auction bidding. Maybe he just couldn't bear to part with it. Hasselhoff has said he was very happy with his experience in the film, and that the SpongeBob SquarePants movie earned him many younger fans. The film is also mentioned by Hasselhoff in the 2012 movie Piranha 3DD, so it's definitely still important to him. In a deleted scene featured on the DVD, Sandy appears as an actual squirrel in the real world, causing Patrick to vomit repeatedly. The idea of Sandy as an actual squirrel came back in SpongeBob SquarePants Sponge Out of Water. The movie's events actually take place after the TV series is over, in the year 2030. This makes some sense because in the episodes, SpongeBob isn't the manager and Plankton hasn't gotten the formula yet. This time difference also explains SpongeBob showing Gary the 374 consecutive Employee of the Month awards at the beginning of the film. If you do the math, that's one every month for approximately 31 years, and the show started in 1999. The movie also reveals that by March 2030 or 2031, SpongeBob has learned how to drive a stick shift vehicle. If at first you don't succeed, try again. This film is the only time Plankton succeeds in stealing the formula. The residents of Bikini Bottom oddly breathe air in this film, despite indications in SpongeBob episodes like Pressure and Survival of the Idiots that they can only breathe water. Many SpongeBob regulars have limited roles in this film. For example, Sandy, who has a much larger role in the sequel, only has 2 lines. Gary the Snail only has 1 line, and neither Mermaid Man nor Barnacle Boy appear at all. That being said, this movie is also one of the few times Gary speaks. If you remember, he says, quote, "Meow, Plankton." When SpongeBob and Patrick are in the nut bar at Goofy Goober's, there is a picture of Popeye and a reference to the comic Crazy Cat by George Harriman. Crazy Cat was also one of the touchstones that inspired Bill Watterson's creation of Calvin and Hobbes. The song Goofy Goober Rock, which SpongeBob uses to destroy the buckets at the end of the movie, is an obvious parody of I Wanna Rock by Twisted Sister, with the lyrics only slightly altered. Funny enough, the movie does not include recurring background character Fred yelling "my leg" as he does in many episodes. However, he has a unique "my eyes" in the feature. This movie is actually a film inside a film, because the pirates at the beginning of the film are watching the SpongeBob movie in a theater. This storytelling technique is sometimes referred to as mise-en-abîme. At one point in the movie, SpongeBob informs Squidward that his fly is down. This is obviously a joke as Squidward doesn't wear pants, but it's never fully addressed. Huh? Yeah. The movie references Homer's Odyssey in the scene with the Cyclops, even though it isn't actually a Cyclops, but a scuba diver. The SpongeBob SquarePants movie is the first time we see Plankton's computer Karen in her mobile form with wheels. This design was then featured in the show after the film's release. And if you hadn't heard, comic Jill Talley, who happens to be married to SpongeBob's voice actor Tom Kenny, supplies the computerized voice of Karen. SpongeBob's voice actually goes back to a background character in Rocko's Modern Life, which Tom Kenny worked on with HILLENBURG. At the beginning of the series, Kenny had to go back and watch the episode to figure out how to do the voice after HILLENBURG made reference to the background helium guy. Funny enough, many people believe Kenny's high-pitched SpongeBob voice is even higher during and after the movie. This is the first animated film release in cinemas for several major Hollywood actors, including the previously mentioned Scarlett Johansson, as well as Jeffrey Tambor and Alec Baldwin. According to fellow actor Tom Kenny, Alec Baldwin couldn't make it to the studio for the film and recorded his parts over the phone. The SpongeBob SquarePants Movie video game was released on October 27, 2004 for several consoles, including PlayStation 2, Game Boy Advance, Xbox, and GameCube. The Game Boy Advance version sold almost 800,000 copies, and in 2006, the game was ranked 25th in Edge's Century's Top 50 Handheld Games. In February 2012, PlayStation announced that the SpongeBob SquarePants movie was coming to the PS3 as a PS2 classic. However, due to THQ's bankruptcy, the re-release was shelved. HILLENBURG's original plan was to end the series after the film was over, so it wouldn't jump the shark. However, in the wake of the success of the movie and a boost in merchandise sales, Nickelodeon pushed for more seasons. To continue the show, HILLENBURG resigned from the series, appointing Paul TIBBIT as the showrunner. He would stay in the role until 2015. Derek Drymon, the creative director of SpongeBob from 1999 to 2004, also left the show after the third season and movie, saying, "I went into the movie knowing it would be the last work I did for SpongeBob. I started the show with Steve Hillenburg. I never considered doing it without him. SpongeBob was a lot of different things to different people. For me, it was about working with a friend of mine. While the film has a strong following among fans, it also marks a major change in SpongeBob the TV show. Ratings slowly declined after the movie was made. Steven Hillenburg officially returned to the series in January 2015, though he never really left, when Paul TIBBIT left to focus exclusively on the SpongeBob movies. The 10th season was the first in the show's history without TIBBIT's involvement. Thanks to the success of the new movie, SpongeBob Sponge Out of Water, and with the well-received 10th season of the TV show, SpongeBob has been given new life. In fact, a third SpongeBob movie is already in the works and scheduled to be released in 2019. We can't wait to see it. Once again, I am Akeem, and thanks for watching 107 Facts about the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. Who are your favorite characters? And are you pumped to see the third film? Comment below and let us know. Don't forget to click the bell icon to become part of our notification squad. We have videos dropping every single day, so make sure to subscribe to Channel Frederator, your cartoon central on the internet.